Hey friends, today we have another VR battle. This is not a VR fitness battle. No, this is a VR language battle, and I believe it's the first one I've ever done. In one corner we have Noun Town, a brand new game that's sweeping the VR world with their, language learning techniques that makes it fun, engaging, and challenging. And in the other corner we have Language Lab, a game that's time-tested, but still is one of my favorite go-tos for language learning. My name is Ari with FitPro VR, and this is Noun Town versus Language Lab. Let's go. So if you're new to my channel, hi, 다자하오. My name is Ari. I typically do VR fitness reviews. However, I do dabble in VR language learning and education apps. Oh, and by the way, I started a new channel. It's called Ari's Language Learning Journey. If you're interested in watching some stuff about language learning, by all means, subscribe down below or up above or somewhere. I'm going to put it somewhere on the screen. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Wherever it is, click on it. But if you're not interested in language learning, don't bother following it. So let's start off with polish. So when it comes to VR, modeling, graphics, and style are important. With Noun Town, the game has the look of Job Simulator with a fun, silly, cartoonish environment that has a basic storyline, a well-voiced cast of characters, and has obvious love put into it. The developers really took their time here to put together a game that is fun to get lost in. Language Lab definitely has a more clinical look to it, with mostly just the basics laid out for the user. There's not much style, and most of the items and characters seem to be more like stock units that you could download to create a game. Not exactly sure, but it's just a lot more simple looking. There's also a few more bugs I've seen in Language Lab, and there's bugs in Noun Town too, but they just seem to get resolved a lot quicker. This is an obvious win for Noun Town.
Hooray!
Let's talk immersion. Immersion is so important in language learning, especially in VR. When you put on the headset, you want to forget that you're at home or in your basement. Both of these games have a different way of nailing down the immersion. Noun Town gets you lost in its world, talking to different people, playing games, and unlocking new worlds in a fun and entertaining way. It's definitely the more immersive VR game. Language Lab, however, nails the language immersion idea down, though, with no translations involved. Whatever language you choose, you're thrown into that world and forced to learn. There's no translating here. You put the motherfucking spoon in the motherfucking cup or you die trying. There is no hand-holding.
숟가락을 넣으세요. 컵.
No training wheels. This is true language immersion. But in reality, the games are tied because they immerse you for different reasons, so I'm giving this one a tie.
Hooray!
Now, support is important. Both of these games have a Discord that is active. However, Noun Town's development team is on the ball with fast bug fixes, like I mentioned before. They pool the community for ideas and are always looking for ways to make their game better every day. The support for Language Labs seems a little bit slower, and they don't have the same community support that Noun Town does, so I gotta give this one to Noun Town.
Hooray!
Now let's talk fun. I always say your definition of fun is very different than my definition of fun because fun is a subjective term and it really depends on the user. However, this is a pretty easy one to call in my opinion. Language Lab feels like a study tool where I can practice vocabulary and listening skills. There's not much game involved here. Sure, there's a few mini games to help you stay fresh, but would I call them fun? Nah, maybe. I would call them more just different in that it's not giving me the same thing that the game is. Noun Town, on the other hand, has fun injected directly into its veins. It's got an environment that makes studying feel less like a chore and more like a learning adventure. Noun Town really is more fun. You will have more fun playing this game, so if casual learning and fun is a priority for you here, hands down, go with Noun Town.
Hooray!
Now, for some, fun will get them their goals in language learning. Not everyone needs to be in a rush to be fluent, nor do they feel the need to study. However, it's important that we understand that learning a language is work, and not everything you do is going to be fun. A good way to learn is to shut off your brain in your first language and let your brain struggle in your target language. This can be difficult at first when you're not familiar with the language. However, once you get some of the basics down, your brain turns into an information sponge and you can start absorbing and thinking in your target language. It's a really weird feeling. Language Lab does this in such a good way. You're thrust into your target language world and your brain will weirdly start adapting.
그릇에 오렌지를 넣으세요. 오렌지. 접시에 햄버거를 넣으세요. 햄버거. 그릇에 샌드위치를 넣으세요. 샌드위치.
Compare this to the way Noun Town does it, where you more or less translate some of the sentences or learn object names without any real context.
裸鸡，你住在哪里？
我住在山上，
哪里的天气冷吗？
冬天很冷。
Language Lab wins this one without question because it eliminates the need for your first language and structures it in a way that you can learn quickly.
Hooray!
Now let's talk variety. Honestly, both of these games have a great variety, but one shines more than the other in my opinion. In Noun Town, you go to a cafe, a kitchen, a farm, and a lot of other places you may recognize and has a large amount of words that may be more or less useful to the average learner. Language Lab has more common areas that have a large variety of things that you will see in your day-to-day life. Will I need to know how to say alpaca in Chinese? I mean, maybe, but likely not anytime soon. Would I potentially need to know how to turn a shower on and off, or ask someone to put something somewhere? Yeah, probably sooner than I need to talk about a fox on a farm. I find the information that you learn in Language Lab to be more useful and functional to language learning. Don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with obscure words in your target language. But in the short term, learning high frequency words relevant to your needs is more important. This is a win for Language
Hooray!
Lab. Let's talk price. We're gonna keep this one short and sweet. Language Lab is free and offers a ton of value. Noun Town also offers a ton of value but costs $19.99 US. Win for Language Lab.
Hooray!
So languages available at the moment. The languages offered on Language Lab are English, Spanish, Arabic, Chinese, French, German, Hebrew, Italian, Japanese, Korean, Portuguese, Russian, Ukrainian, and Dutch. Noun Town at the time of this video has Japanese, Chinese, Spanish, French, German, and Italian. On the horizon for them is Korean, as well as about 15 more languages, but as it stands right now, Language Lab has more languages and offers a great deal of content for each language. The biggest issue though is that all of the languages in Noun Town are taught from the English perspective. So if you don't speak English, it won't be a tool that will be very useful for you. But you're watching my video in English, so that might not apply. Unless you're using like translated captions, in which case, translate that motherfucker. Sorry, I had to. Because Language Lab is immersive, you can use it no matter what your native language is, which is a big win for Language Lab.
Hooray!
So if you're keeping score, this makes Language Lab the winner.
Wow, winning!
But here's the good news. Both of these games are awesome, and the fact that one is free and the other is paid means you can use both guilt-free. So what do you think? Do you like one of these better than the other? Let me know in the comments and I'd love to talk about it with you in Chinese or English. My name is Ari with FitPro VR, and don't forget to get your language learning in today.